He got down on one knee, right in front of everyone, smiled like he meant it, held the ring like it was real. But the whole time, I was holding something too. The texts. The ones that would destroy his perfect moment and show everyone who he really was. _ Let's get into it. This isn't just a story. It's what happens when the truth doesn't stay buried. I should have been happy. That's what everyone expected. It was a proposal. There were candles, rose petals, soft music. Everything was perfect. Except me. I stood there, clapping like everyone else. Smiling, like it didn't bother me. Like I hadn't seen the messages. Like I didn't know the truth. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 28. And until that night, I thought I knew what heartbreak felt like. But what I felt standing there, watching the man I loved propose to someone else, that wasn't heartbreak. That was war. And the ring he slipped on her finger? It was a weapon. Let me go back. Because the story doesn't start with the proposal. It starts 3 years ago. The day I met Jason Blake. Jason wasn't the kind of guy who walked into a room. He owned it. He was smart, well-dressed, charming. One of those people who could talk to anyone and make them feel seen. We met at a networking mixer. I was standing near the bar, trying to avoid small talk. He walked over, smiled and said, "You look like someone who's either really successful or really bored." I laughed. And just like that he had me. We started dating 3 weeks later. And it moved fast. He took me to rooftop dinners. Introduced me to his friends. Told me he'd never met someone who got him the way I did. I believed him. Because when Jason looked at you, you believed anything. For 2 years it was good. We had fights, sure. But nothing major. He was busy with work. So was I. He traveled a lot for conferences. Sometimes stayed late at the office. But he always made time for me. At least, I thought he did. The first red flag wasn't even a fight. It was a missing weekend. He told me he was in Denver for work. But he forgot I followed his best friend on Instagram. The friend posted a story, Jason at a beach bar. In Florida. No snow. No conference. No explanation. When I asked about it, he shrugged. It was last minute. I didn't think it mattered. I let it go. That was my mistake. Then came the passwords. Or, the change of them. He used to leave his phone on the table. Unlocked. Casual. Suddenly he was taking it into the bathroom. Turning off notifications. Changing his lock screen. I asked once. He said, "It's just work. Confidential clients. You know how it is." I nodded. Because I did know how it was. He was lying. But I still didn't leave. Because when you love someone, you convince yourself that trust is a choice. That if you don't look too closely, you won't get hurt. Then came Samantha. Or as he called her, Sam. Just a friend from college. They started working on a project together. Late meetings. Quick lunches. Inside jokes. She was always just around. Always texting him something funny. One night, I was helping him with laundry. His phone lit up. "Miss you already. Last night was perfect." Kiss mark. It was from Sam. He froze. Then snatched the phone like it burned him. It's not what it looks like. It never is. I packed a bag that night. Told him I needed space. He cried. Begged. Said he was confused. That it didn't mean anything. That we had something real. I wanted to believe him. So I stayed at my sister's place for a week. No contact. No texts. Until he showed up at my job. With flowers. And this line. I broke it off with her. "I swear. You're the one I want." I let him back in. Because I was weak. Because I thought love meant forgiving. But what I didn't know then was that he never really ended it. Months passed. He started acting normal again. Kind. Present. Engaged. He even talked about our future. Maybe we should go house hunting. "I think you'd make a great mom. You're the only person I see myself growing old with." I melted. But somewhere inside me, I was still cold. One night, he left his laptop open. He was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for a file we shared on Google Drive. but a notification popped up in the corner. Gmail. I can't stop thinking about last weekend. When are you free again? I clicked. It wasn't from Sam. It was from someone else. Someone named Lena. There were dozens of messages, dates, hotel bookings, photos. Jason wasn't just lying. He was rehearsed. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was who he was. I took screenshots, saved everything, emailed it to myself, and I didn't say a word, because if Jason was going to keep pretending, then so was I. A month later, he invited me to a friend's engagement party. A big one. Catered. Outdoors. Photographer and everything. I almost said no, but something told me to go. And that's where it happened. In front of 40 people. Under the fairy lights. With champagne glasses in everyone's hands. Jason dropped to one knee. Emily Carter. Will you marry me? Gasps. Cheers. Cameras flashing. He held up a diamond ring. I looked down at him, smiling, and I said, yes. Because I wasn't done yet. Not even close. I said yes. The crowd cheered. Jason looked like the happiest man alive. He stood up, slipped the ring on my finger, and hugged me tight. Too tight. I smiled into his shoulder. Everyone was clapping. A few people wiped away tears. I didn't. Because I knew something they didn't. That night, I went home with him. I played the role. I kissed him back. Told him I couldn't believe it. That I was so surprised. That I was the luckiest woman in the world. It was all a lie. But I said it like I meant it. Because liars deserve their own taste of silence. The next few days were a blur. Phone calls. Congratulatory texts. Jason's mom sent me a huge floral arrangement. His sister asked if we could start dress shopping together. My inbox was full of Pinterest boards, guest lists, and venue suggestions. But my mind was only on one thing. The texts. I had dozens of screenshots. Messages between Jason and Lena. Jason and Sam. Jason and at least 2 other women I didn't even know. He was engaged to me, but he had conversations like, I can't wait to feel your skin again. She has no idea. You're my real piece. Let's go away. Just you and me. I saved every single one. Not for revenge. At first, it was for clarity. To prove to myself I wasn't crazy. But the more I read, the more I realized I had a choice. I could walk away quietly, again. Pack my things. Block his number. Tell people it just didn't work out. Or, I could show him what it feels like. To be exposed in front of a room full of smiling people. So I planned something. Not just a moment. A full reveal. Jason and I had already been invited to his company's annual gala. It was the perfect setup. All his co-workers. His boss. Friends. Family. Even his parents. The event had a stage. A microphone. A giant projector screen. And as of 2 days before the event, I had been asked to give a speech. Jason suggested it. Babe, everyone at work loves you. Say a few words about how we met. The proposal. Just something sweet. I smiled. Of course. I'd love to. I spent that whole week preparing. Not a dress. Not shoes. Not nails. I prepared my story. I printed screenshots. Made a slideshow. Created a USB folder labeled, For you, Jason. It wasn't just petty. It was poetry. The night of the gala arrived. I wore a midnight blue gown. Hair pinned. Calm face. Jason was beaming. He introduced me to everyone again, now as his fiancée. People hugged me. Congratulated me. Told me how lucky I was. I nodded. They didn't know. Not yet. Dinner was served. Glasses clinked. Jason gave a quick toast. This year's been full of growth, joy, and most recently love. I want to thank Emily for making me the happiest man alive. Everyone clapped. He kissed my cheek. The MC smiled at me. And now the future Mrs. Blake would like to say a few words. I stood up. Walked slowly to the stage. My hands weren't shaking. Not anymore. Jason winked at me from his table. I smiled back. And then I took the mic. Hi everyone. I'm Emily. Most of you know me as Jason's fiancé. But tonight, I'd like to tell you a little story. About love. About trust. And about what happens when both are broken. The room quieted. See, I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. I was supposed to be at home. Crying. Asking myself why I wasn't enough. People looked confused. Jason tilted his head. But I continued. But instead of crying, I started reading. Reading texts. Dozens of them. Gasps. Jason sat up. Texts between Jason and Lena. Jason and Sam. Jason and multiple other women. The projector came on. I clicked the remote. The screenshots began. Silence. Some people covered their mouths. A woman at Jason's table whispered, "Oh my God." Another woman stood up and walked out. Jason stood now too. His face pale. "Emily, stop." "No. You don't get to stop me. You had your moment. Down on one knee. Now it's my turn." I turned to the crowd. To the women in these screenshots. "I see you. I believe you." And to the men like Jason. "We don't stay silent anymore." Applause broke out. Slowly. Then louder. Jason walked toward the stage. Security stopped him. I looked down at my ring. Took it off. Placed it on the podium. "You can keep this. You bought it with lies." Then I walked off the stage. Right past him. Right out the door. And when I reached the parking lot, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I picked up. It was Sam. She was crying. I had no idea. "I'm so sorry." I didn't say much. Just, "Now you know. He's not who he says he is. And neither am I." When I left that gala, I didn't cry. I didn't look back. Didn't post about it. Didn't call my friends for sympathy. I just went home. Sat on my bed. And breathed. Not like someone who escaped a storm. But like someone who walked into it willingly. And walked out untouched. The internet, though? It exploded. Someone had filmed my entire speech. Posted it on TikTok that night. By morning, it had over 600,000 views. By the end of the week, it had 3 million. The caption read, "She said yes. But she saved her no for the mic." The comments flooded in. "This is how you expose a cheater," with class clapping hands. The silence in that room was louder than any scream. She didn't just walk away. She walked over him. People were sharing it across platforms. Reddit, Twitter, Instagram Reels. Even Storytime YouTubers started narrating it. At first, I didn't want the attention. I ignored the messages. But one morning, I opened my DMs and saw something different. A message from someone named Rachel Blake, Jason's sister. I saw the video. I didn't know. None of us did. "I'm sorry." I waited before replying. But eventually I sent. "It wasn't your fault. But thank you." She replied instantly. "He hasn't come out of his apartment in days. Mom and Dad are furious. His company's talking about releasing a statement." I didn't care. I didn't want revenge anymore. I already had it. But Jason? He wasn't done. 3 days later he showed up. At my office. Wearing a wrinkled suit and a fake smile. My coworker came over, eyes wide. Your ex is at reception." I walked out calmly. He stood up. "Emily, please. Just 5 minutes." I nodded. He followed me outside. We stood in the parking lot. "You destroyed me," he said. "No. You destroyed yourself. I just turned on the lights." He looked away. "They're letting me go. My parents won't talk to me. Everyone's blocked me." "You earned it." He took a deep breath. "Okay, but why do you say yes to the proposal? Why do you go through with it?" I stared at him. "Because you thought you could fake forever. And I wanted to show you how real truth feels when it finally arrives." He shook his head. "You didn't have to humiliate me. I didn't humiliate you. You humiliated yourself. I just stopped covering for you." He didn't say anything after that. He just walked away. And this time, he didn't look back. That night I turned off my phone. No notifications. No messages. Just silence. But this time the silence wasn't empty. It was peaceful. A few days passed. Then I got another message, this time from a journalist. Hi Emily. I'm covering viral stories of quiet courage. Your video touched a lot of people. Would you be willing to talk? At first I said no. But then I thought about all the women who messaged me. All the girls saying. This gave me the strength to walk away. I called her back and told her everything. The article was titled. She said yes, then said everything he was afraid of. That was the day I realized. My story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to every woman who kept quiet, so someone else could save face. But not anymore. Still one thing remained. Something I hadn't touched. Something I'd kept hidden. A truth that would finally close the book. It came from Sam. Remember her? The first girl I caught him texting? She messaged me again. There's something I think you should know. Something I found. That I think changes everything. I didn't expect what she sent. A file. A recording. And a date. Sam didn't know me anything. After what happened, I didn't expect her to even think of me again. But she did. And what she sent me, it changed everything. It was a voice recording, dated 3 months before the proposal. Timestamped 2:14 a.m. Jason's voice. And hers. I listened to it once. Then again. And again. Because hearing his voice say those words, I'm not gonna marry her. I'm just buying time. My family loves her. The ring makes them happy. But she's not the one. I stopped breathing. He laughed after that. The same laugh he gave me when he held my hand. When he kissed my forehead. When he slipped that ring on my finger. He was laughing at me the whole time. And Sam? She sounded unsure. But doesn't she think you're serious? Let her. She wants the fairy tale. She's easy to manage. That broke me. Not because it hurt. But because I didn't cry this time. I sat with that recording. Let it echo in my room. Then I saved it. Not to use against him. Not to post. But to remember who I'd become. The girl who once begged to be chosen. Was now the woman who chooses silence over shame. A few weeks passed. The article was still making rounds. The video had passed 6 million views. I started getting podcast invitations. A TEDx inquiry. Emails from women across the world. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for saying what I couldn't. You gave me the strength to speak. It overwhelmed me. But it also healed me. Because for the first time, I didn't feel small. Then came the wedding invite. Not Jason's. His cousin's. Someone I actually liked. It was weird. I almost didn't go. But then I thought. No more hiding. No more skipping events to avoid his face. I was free now. I showed up alone. Wearing a soft rose dress. Hair curled. No makeup tricks. Just me. The real me. Jason was there. Of course. He didn't approach me. Didn't speak. He looked at me once. And I could see it. The emptiness. The regret. But I didn't look away. I smiled. A soft, small smile. Because I'd already said everything I needed to say. Later that evening, the bride's sister came over. Are you Emily? She asked. Yes. You're the one from the video, right? I braced myself. That was incredible. You said it with so much calm. My ex cheated too. I wish I had your strength. I didn't know what to say. So I just hugged her. Because sometimes that's enough. The DJ called for toasts. One by one, people stood up. Shared love. Laughter. Tears. Then someone whispered. Emily, do you want to say something? I smiled. I think I've said enough for a lifetime. I left early that night. Stepped into the cold air. Breathed deep. And checked my phone one last time. No calls. No texts. No lies waiting to ambush me. Just peace. Before I went to sleep, I wrote a note in my phone. He proposed in front of everyone. But I showed him the part of me he never expected. The part that doesn't need revenge. Just freedom. Because real power isn't in shouting. It's in being unbothered. In leaving the story behind. Knowing you survived it. And someone else is still stuck in the lie. If you've ever had to pretend everything was fine, just to keep someone else's image clean. Let this be your reminder. You don't owe silence to anyone who wouldn't protect your truth. Backhand index pointing down. Share your story in the comments. Bell, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more stories.